The snow fell in thick, silent curtains over the city train station, each flake catching the harsh fluorescent lights before settling on the platform. It was the kind of December cold that seeped through layers of clothing and settled in your bones, the kind that made most people hurry, past with their collars turned up and their eyes fixed on the warm destinations ahead. Isabel Hayes sat against a concrete pillar on Platform 7, her tattered cream-colored dress doing little to protect her from the wind that whipped through the open-air station. The dress had once been beautiful, delicate lace, carefully embroidered details, back when her life had been different. Back when she'd had a home, a job, a future. Now it was just another reminder of how far she'd fallen. Covered by a thin blanket someone had dropped near the trash can weeks ago. She was 28 years old, though the past 6 months had aged her beyond recognition. Her blonde hair, once carefully styled, now hung in damp tangles around her face. Her feet were bare, despite the cold. Her shoes had been stolen 3 nights ago while she'd been sleeping, and she hadn't been able to afford replacements. "Miss, excuse me, miss?" Isabel looked up to find 2 small faces peering at her with undisguised curiosity. Twin girls, maybe 4 or 5 years old, bundled in matching pink, puffy coats with fur-trimmed hoods and little pom-pom hats. They had dark curls, escaping from their hats and identical expressions of concern on their round faces. "Girls, come back here!" a man's voice called from further down the platform. But the twins didn't move. They stood there, studying Isabel with the frank, unfiltered assessment that only children possess. "You're sleeping outside," one of them said matter-of-factly. "That's not good. It's too cold." I'm fine," Isabel managed, her voice hoarse from disuse. She rarely spoke to anyone these days. Most people went out of their way to avoid making eye contact with her. "You don't look fine," the other twin said. "You're shaking. And your feet don't have shoes. Our feet would be very cold without shoes." "Sophia, Olivia!" "I said come here." The man was closer now, and Isabel could see him clearly, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive black coat and carrying a leather briefcase. His dark hair was dusted with snow, and his expression was exasperated as he hurried toward the twins. "We're just talking, Daddy," Sophia, or was it Olivia, said, not taking her eyes off Isabel. The man reached them and immediately began apologizing. "I'm so sorry. They got away from me." "Girls, you can't just approach strangers." He stopped mid-sentence as he got a good look at Isabel, and she saw something flicker across his face. Pity, probably. She was used to that look. "We were just helping," the other twin insisted. "She needs help." "Look at her feet!" The man, their father, glanced down at Isabel's bare, dirty feet, and his jaw tightened. "I see that. But girls, we need to catch our train." "We can't just leave her," Sophia protested, tears suddenly welling in her eyes. "Mommy would have helped." "Mommy always helped people." The man's expression cracked just for a moment, revealing something raw beneath the surface. "I know, sweetheart, but—" "Daddy," Olivia said, in that serious way children have when they've made up their minds about something important. "She needs a home. And we need a mommy." "It's perfect." The silence that followed was deafening despite the ambient noise of the train station. The rumble of arriving trains, the chatter of commuters, the announcements over the loudspeaker. Isabel felt her face burn with humiliation. She didn't want to be anyone's charity case, especially not someone's replacement mother. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't need anything. Please, just go." But the man was staring at his daughters with an expression Isabel couldn't quite read. Shock? Consideration? Sadness? "Sophia, Olivia," he said slowly, kneeling down to their level. "That's not how the world works. You can't just—" He paused, seeming to struggle with his words. "This lady has her own life, her own situation. We can't just—" "But Daddy, you said Mommy told you to always help people who need help," Sophia said. "You said that's what being a good person means." "I did say that," he admitted. "But there are proper ways to help." "You're cold," Olivia said, addressing Isabel directly. "And you don't have a home. We have a very big house. It has lots of rooms. You could have one." "Girls," their father tried again. "Please," Isabel said, her voice firmer now despite the cold making her jaw stiff. "I appreciate the thought." "But I can't. I don't—" She took a shaky breath. "I'm not your solution to anything. Please just go." The man looked at her for a long moment, and Isabel saw him really seeing her, not just a homeless woman, but a person. She saw recognition in his eyes, an acknowledgement of the human being beneath the dirt and desperation. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Does it matter?" "It does to me." Isabel hesitated. It had been so long since anyone had asked. "Isabel." "I'm Marcus. Marcus Reed." He gestured to the twins. "These are my daughters, Sophia and Olivia, and they're right about one thing. It's too cold for anyone to be out here like this. When was the last time you ate?" "I don't need your pity," Isabel said, but her voice lacked conviction. The truth was, she couldn't remember her last real meal. A half-eaten sandwich from a trash can yesterday? Some crackers someone had given her 2 days before that? "It's not pity," Marcus said. "Look, I know this is going to sound insane, but my daughters are clearly not going to let this go. We live 20 minutes from here. Would you at least come get warm? Have something to eat? After that, if you want to leave, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. No strings attached." Isabel wanted to refuse. She had what little remained of her pride, and accepting charity from a wealthy stranger felt like the final nail in the coffin of her dignity. But the cold was seeping deeper into her bones, and the twins were looking at her with such hopeful, earnest expressions that something in her chest cracked. "Just to get warm," she heard herself say. "Just for a little while." "Yes!" Both twins cheered in unison. Marcus's car was exactly what Isabel expected, a sleek black SUV, with leather seats and that new car smell. The twins clambered into their car seats in the back, chattering excitedly while Isabel sat in the front passenger seat, acutely aware of how out of place she was. She was leaving dirt on the pristine interior, and she probably smelled terrible. "I'm sorry about your seats," she murmured. "They're just seats," Marcus said, starting the engine. "They can be cleaned." "Are you warm enough? I can turn up the heat." He already had the heat on full blast, and Isabel could feel sensation slowly returning to her extremities, bringing with it a painful tingling. "It's fine. Thank you." They drove in silence for a while, broken only by the twins' chatter from the back seat about their favorite foods and whether Isabel liked hot chocolate, and if she'd ever seen the room that was going to be hers. They'd already decided this. Apparently. "I apologize for my daughters," Marcus said quietly. "Their mother passed away 18 months ago. They've been struggling with the loss. They've had a series of nannies, none of whom have worked out. I think they're projecting their grief into trying to fix things. That can't be fixed in the way they want." "I'm sorry for your loss," Isabel said, and meant it. "But I'm not. I can't be a replacement for their mother. I'm barely keeping myself together." "I'm not asking you to be," Marcus assured her. "And I'm not expecting anything from you. I just couldn't drive away. Not in this weather. Not when my daughters were right. My wife would have insisted we help." The Reed house wasn't just big, it was a mansion, set back from the road behind iron gates, with sprawling grounds visible even in the darkness and falling snow. Isabel felt her stomach drop. What was she doing here? She didn't belong in a place like this. "It's too much," she said, her hand on the door handle. "I can't." "It's just a house," Marcus said gently, "made of wood and stone and glass. What matters is what happens inside it. Please, Isabel, just come inside for a little while. Get warm, take a shower if you'd like. Eat something, then we can figure out what comes next." The twins had already unbuckled themselves and were tugging at Isabel's door. "Come on, we want to show you everything." Inside, the house was even more impressive. High ceilings, artwork on the walls, furniture that probably cost more than Isabel used to make in a year. But it also felt strangely empty, as if all the beautiful things couldn't quite fill the space left by someone's absence. An older woman emerged from what looked like the kitchen, her eyebrows rising in surprise. "Mr. Reed? I wasn't expecting you back so soon. And with guests?" "Margaret, this is Isabel. She'll be staying for dinner. Could you please prepare a guest room for her? And perhaps find some clothes that might fit. I think my late wife's things are still in the storage room upstairs." "Of course, sir." Margaret looked at Isabel with curiosity but no judgment, which was more than Isabel had expected. "Miss, would you like to freshen up first? I can show you to a bathroom." The bathroom was larger than the entire studio apartment Isabel had lived in before her life fell apart. The shower was a glass-enclosed space with multiple heads, The towels were thick and soft, and there was an array of expensive-looking soaps and shampoos lined up on a built-in shelf. Isabel stood under the hot water for a long time, watching the dirt and grime of 6 months wash away down the drain. She scrubbed her hair 3 times, unable to remember the last time it had been properly clean. The soap smelled like lavender, and the simple luxury of it made her cry for the first time in weeks.